Hey dreamers, welcome back to Dream Free Art. I am Tina and today I'm going to show you some easy e-learning DIY projects that I did for my kids. So with them doing the e-learning with their schools, I had to become very creative and think outside the box in order to give them 6 separate spaces for them to be able to do their schooling. So here are 2 of the projects that I made for them. The first one that I made was updated, upcycled, or colorful clipboards. And for the second project, I made no-sew chair pockets. All right, let's get started. To make the colorful clipboards, you will need clipboards, scrapbook paper, and Mod Podge. First, remove any stickers or labels from the clipboards. Next, select the scrapbook paper that you're going to put on the clipboard. Next, measure out the scrapbook paper so that it will fit the clipboard entirely. I am simply marking it by folding it over where I'm going to cut so that way I don't have to use a pencil or a pen on the paper. I'm also doing the same thing for the clip of the clipboard so that way I know exactly where to cut. Next, I'm going to trim the creases that I made in the paper, and then I'm going to add my Mod Podge. Since Mod Podge works as a glue and a sealer, I'm going to go ahead and apply it liberally first as my glue, and then later on as my sealer. Usually when I'm working with Mod Podge, I like to use a sponge brush, but I found this Mod Podge brush on sale and I had to give it a try. So with my fancy Mod Podge brush, I'm going to spread the Mod Podge evenly onto the clipboard. I'm not sponsored by Mod Podge, I just ended up really liking the brush. Now that I've covered the clipboard with the Mod Podge, I'm going to carefully add my cut scrapbook paper. For this step, you want to be slow and careful just to make sure that you don't have any wrinkles or bubbles in the paper. So using the handles on my scissors, I'm just going over it one more time to make sure that it's really glued and that there are no bubbles in the paper whatsoever. Now that the paper is glued to the clipboard, I'm going to add more Mod Podge to the top of it to seal it in, and then I'm going to let it dry. Now that the first side is complete, I'm going to turn the clipboard over and repeat the process again on the back. Here are the finished clipboards. I love them. I think they're really cute, and the kids definitely seem to enjoy them because it's personal and it's unique. The clipboards really help them while they're in their distance learning classes. Plus, it's pretty cute to show on camera too. And now that the front and back of the clipboards are done, it's time to get started on the chair pockets. What's a chair pocket? Great question. Glad you asked. A chair pocket is basically a piece of fabric that can be used for storage on the back of a chair. I'm making these chair pockets because my mom, who was a teacher forever, used to make her own chair pockets every single year for her classrooms. So the chair pocket idea came to me in order to save space in the areas that the kids are going to be learning, but also be super cute and yet functional. My mom would look forward to spending all summer sewing her chair pockets. I don't want to do that kind of sewing. Instead, I'm going to do a super quick, super easy, no-sew variation of my mother's chair pockets. For this project, you will need a yard of fabric and fabric glue. First, I'm going to open my fabric and flip it to the wrong side or the inside of it. Next, I'm going to trim off the excess fabric. I can't tell you what the exact measurements are because it depends on what chair you're using. So before you start this project, make sure you measure off exactly how much you need to cut off. I'm setting the rest of the fabric to the side because I'm going to use it later. Next, I'm going to trim off the corners of the fabric. I want to round the edges just a little bit, and it'll help me when I'm finished with the project. Next, I'm going to take my fabric glue and apply it liberally to the edge of one side of my fabric. Then I'm going to carefully fold it over and press the 2 sides together. Now that I've glued the 2 sides that I needed, I'm going to just let it hang out and dry for a little bit. Once the fabric glue has dried, I'm going to flip my chair pocket inside out, which is actually technically flipping it back to the right side, straighten it back out, and then I'm going to go get that scrap fabric that I put to the side. The leftover fabric I'm going to use to actually make the pockets on the chair pockets. To add the pockets, I'm going to measure out exactly how far from the top I want my pockets to be. I want to make one large pocket at the very bottom to hold their clipboards and any papers that they might have, but I also want to have some smaller pockets at the top for their pencils and their crayons and things like that. So I'm going to cut the scrap fabric so that I can create those pockets, measure it out, and then go ahead and fabric glue them into place. I'm folding over just a tiny bit of the fabric and I'm gluing the bottom and the sides to form my pocket. After pressing it, I'm going to let it dry. In order to make the smaller pockets, I'm putting a clipboard in the big pocket so I can see exactly where the bottom of the small pockets should start. I'm going to trim the fabric so that it fits, but I also folded this piece into thirds, almost like a brochure, so that way there was extra durability in the smaller pockets since that's the one that's going to hold their scissors and their crayons. Next, I'm going to glue that pocket shut, and then I'm going to add stripes of the glue so that it can form different sections in the pocket. I was able to make 3 sections out of that one strip of fabric by repeating this process. And here are the finished chair pockets. I made the chair pockets at the beginning of the school year, and here we are a few months later, and they are very durable and they're still lasting. The chair pockets and the clipboards have been a major hit with my kids this school year. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave us a comment down below if you want to see how we used our space to work for our large family for distance learning. Until next time, dreamers, bye.